Hello and welcome to the Next in Line podcast, where we are helping to prepare you for whatever is next in line. As always, I'm your host, Chance Pitts, and I'd like to thank you for tuning into this episode. Guys and gals, first things first, before I get to my co-host, let's take care of the housekeeping. If you receive value from this episode or any other episode of the Next in Line podcast, we would ask that you share the show with like-minded individuals that could get the same kind of value. That's the number one way for us to grow and to reach a larger audience and to help more people, which will be a subject of discussion today in this podcast as well. Guys, another way you can help us grow this movement is by interacting with us on whatever platform you find yourself listening on, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or any of the other awesome podcast platforms out there. You can leave us a comment, a like, a subscription, rating, review. All of those things help us pop up in that search bar a little bit faster when people look for personal development and self-help type podcasts. You can also check us out at Next in Line Development on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We've got pretty much daily content on there that we get out on a much more regular basis than the podcast, so you can keep up with all the crazy stuff we have going on there. Now, I promised to get to them, so here we are. I'm joined today by my dad as a co-host, Mr. Billy Pitts. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me.
And I should say welcome to the podcast once again, because you were on episode number 70, and I highly encourage anyone who hasn't listened to that or watched that episode to go check it out. There's some great insights in there, especially if you're looking to start your personal development journey. But thank you for, one, letting me have the podcast here in your office, for one, but also for joining me to talk about some cool stuff today.
Oh, anytime. Honored to be here.
Absolutely. Well, what's been up with you? What have you been doing? Are you training for anything? What's going on?
Well, actually, I am in process of training for the Rocky Raccoon 100.
Rocky Raccoon 100. When, where?
It's going to be first weekend in February, 2023, and it's going to be in Huntsville at the Huntsville State Park.
Huntsville State Park. So that one, from what I have seen from people putting stuff out, pretty flat. Lots of routes.
Pretty flat. Going to be a fast course, but 5 20-mile loops, and you'll start around 7 a.m.-ish and just kind of, I think, a 30-hour cutoff, so just kind of go out there and see what you can do with it. So I'm kind of jumping out there into this 100-miler. Had never done that before, but hey, we're just going to see what happens.
That's what I did. Might as well, right? I mean, that's super exciting. I'm amped for you. I know we've got a good group of people to come out and pace and to be support already. That's all kind of mapped out. Shout out to everybody that's giving us a hand out there.
Oh, man, everybody. I had several people jump on board right away to come out and sign up for Pacers. So we're super excited for that. So motivating me to get on this thing and get it going.
Absolutely. And it's pretty cool because that ties really into the topic, one of them I wanted to hit today, which is talking about the sphere of influence that's around both of us. But I feel like a lot of those people are individuals that have either had influence on us in the past or that we've been able to have some kind of positive influence on as well. And that's really something I wanted to talk about. So just kind of explaining what the sphere of influence is. That's all of the people that we're able to come in contact with on a daily basis, right? And have some kind of influence on their life. I don't call this a positive or a negative sphere of influence because really it is very dependent on you and it's very dependent on that person.
Sure.
Right? It's whatever happens in that moment. So it's been really cool to have an awesome opportunity to get with some of these people and dive into that. But I know we talked about the Westphalia Fitness Center in the last podcast, but it seems like you got a pretty good sphere of influence growing with some people over here in Central Texas.
It is picking up steam. We got some friends and some folks just coming out, kind of telling their friends and husbands and wives, spouses, all coming out. And we're actually have expanded the size of the gym a little bit. We've got some set routines that we're doing throughout the week. So every weekend of the week, or every evening of the week, I should say, we've got some plans going on, exercises, things that we're doing. So it's just catching, and it's great to see. It's great to see people wanting to improve themselves and their lives, and it's just outstanding.
That's really neat, and it's cool to see coming up here because I'm so removed from it. I get to come in and just have kind of a update on a long-term scale every once in a while, every couple of months or so, whenever we make it back to Central Texas. And I see the gym growing with equipment and everything, and spacing out a little bit as you put more flooring in and all that. But I see the clipboards with all the workouts on it. And y'all have really dove into this thing. And it's cool to see, and it ties into that sphere of influence we're talking about, because I think that comes from a lot of people seeing you take control of your situation and where you're at in your life, and diving into that. And I think it's really cool to see.
Well, it is. I'm glad to see. I had a lot of people influence me, and people that got me going in the right direction. And so to see people be able to see me and want to learn and want to better themselves and improve their lives and just feel better. Just have a better outlook on life, and that it just kind of bleeds into everything. So it's really great to see, really fulfilling, and it's just it's I don't know how to describe it. It's just. It feels so good to have people come out and want to better themselves, and just you can see the positive just flowing into all the channels of their life, not just that they're getting more physically fit, but in just everything they do, how they approach their daily tasks, just everything. It's like infective,
Absolutely. And I touched on the positive and negative, and that's one cool thing about it is as you get more presence in the sphere of influence around you, it seems like those negative situations kind of weed themselves out, those negative people even. And some of those people grab a hold of the positive side, and they start to see the changes. They start to see, not like you said, not just on the physical front, but they see it mentally. They even see it spiritually as well. And that's something that they can take down the road with them and really kind of spin it to a positive side. And that's one thing I've noticed, the group of people that you're around, and that come around with the Westphalia Fitness Center and everything like that, it's a positive place. It's a bunch of positive people. They're happy. They're excited about what they're doing. And it's just genuinely a good and fun and positive atmosphere to be around.
Well, whenever you can focus on the positive, when you can take that energy and you focus your attitude, what you're trying to accomplish, every day you're going to have things that pop up, things you got to handle, negative things that try to creep into your mind and whatever you're doing, your daily task. But if you can focus on the positive, that negative stuff just it reduces. It doesn't become as big a burden. You just knock it out, you get it over with, you get it done, move on to the positive stuff, because that's where your focus is. So you don't focus and don't give that negative power to build in your mind. Just stay positive.
Absolutely. And I mean, we saw it coming out of just the early transformations a couple years ago whenever I really got heavy into this, and you were doing heavy into some things, 75 hard and all that. Just it continues to blossom and grow. It's once you plant that seed of positivity, it just kind of spreads, right? It's infectious, like you mentioned. And it's been really cool to see all of those people that have kind of dove in. Even last night, Dad had a gig back here in Central Texas, and had a couple people come up and just be like, "Oh, you're the guy with the personal development stuff." And it's really cool to see, because those are people that you would have never thought would be impacted by something like that, would have never taken notice or seen anything, kind of been interested in that style of development. And there it is, just right there in front of you. So you never know who you're going to impact or how you're going to impact them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You never know. And you never know that somebody may be right there on the verge of wanting to get into doing something positive, wanting to change their life. And that you might be that little push that they need. You might be that little example that they need, and I was that way for many years, sitting on the edge, knowing I need to do it, but just, finally got that little push. So you never know. So you always got to think about this stuff. But we do need to get a little bit of video of you singing somewhere on one of your on one of your social media spots there, because we got this guy up here singing last night a little bit. So
we can throw something out. It was a ton of fun. Me and Dad, actually, we're going to be playing some music on the 19th back up here before we go into the second topic we're going to talk about on this podcast. But we'll save that one for here in a minute. But yeah, it's a ton of fun, and it blooms in or brings in the positivity as a just huge, I don't know, like the sphere of influence, like we talked about. It's a huge area that is just positively affected. It's everyone in our circle and around us, and it just continues to grow. And we've seen it with family. It's actually really cool to see the impact it's had on the family over on Mom's side specifically. Shout out to that huge group. Was it Sherpas? I think the group that we're in.
Sherpas, yeah. That's our Facebook group.
It started out with a little hike, and I think everybody in there now is running, is working out very actively. Some couple of people that I think they can say probably a year or two ago, whenever we went on that hike, whenever it was, they probably didn't think they'd be running as much as they are. One of them did 8 miles, one did 7 the other day.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to see how contagious this sphere is and all the positivity is. It's been really cool to see. And one thing that I kind of wanted to get into as well is when you're doing things like this and you're breeding the positivity, you're not going to be able to get away from the negative all the time, right? It's going to come in from the things that you have to deal with on a daily basis. It's going to be work. It's going to be family-oriented stuff. It's going to be whatever, personal, even church. It can be stressful at times,
Sure.
and things like that. And I wanted to talk a little bit about those energy vampires, if you will. Those are the things that kind of suck your energy, suck your positivity away from you, and kind of how you combat those and how I combat those, and what we do to try to move ourselves forward.
Yeah, that's a pretty good name for it, the energy vampire, because you know, I have a lot of people tell me that you're so positive, you're energetic, you've got things, you seems like you just got all this positive energy. Well, we're human too. And so there's plenty of things that knock us down, you know, and sometimes some days are rougher than others and they just pile up, and it's hard to stay, but you have to, I don't know, it's sometimes you have to just like unplug a little bit, and you just got to, you know, refocus your mind. And sometimes I reach out to you. Sometimes I get onto some podcasts and re-energize and get my mind focused back on positive energy and positive vibes. Because life is tough.
Life is tough.
You know, and so you can't always control all the factors, you know, out there, but you can, you know, you can focus on what you can control and how you react to those things. And that's some of the biggest thing that you can do is your attitude and your reaction to it and how you're going to approach things. And that's all within our control and our power. And if we can focus on that, no matter how kind of negative and how kind of drugged down we get, you'll come out of it. You just have to believe that. And it always does. The sun comes up tomorrow. You'll get through it. So, you know, that's kind of how I have to approach it. You know. See,
I agree with that. And the big thing with it, the first thing I always try to do whenever I come across somebody that has that negative draw, and starts to pull that energy out of me, is I try to feed them with that a little bit. I try to build them up. I try to put that positivity back in, go with some encouragement, try to change the way they look at their particular situation that's drawing down on them as well, right? Because that's the thing about energy vampires is just like the regular vampire, it's contagious. Once you get the bite, it consumes you, and then somebody else gets bitten, and it goes on and on. So you can kind of reverse engineer that to go to the root of the cause as well and try to help people.
Absolutely.
And that's always my first step whenever I try to go into it.
That's a great approach.
You try to be a positive influence and a positive experience on their day, right? And a lot of times that is something that can help pull people out, and it can be a really positive place. And that's why I do this whole Next in Line movement. That's why I put out as much as I do on social media and the podcast, and I bring people like you on because I try to have a positive outlook. However, sometimes you do get bitten and you get taken into the negative a little bit. And I think there's a couple ways that you can really combat that, right? And one of the major ways that I try to combat it is there's an old saying, and I don't remember who said it, but I use this one a whole lot. If you surround yourself by, and I'll change it to positive and negative here, if you surround yourself by 5 positive people, you're going to be the 6th. If you find yourself surrounded by 5 negative people, you're going to be the 6th, right? So removing myself from that situation and having to make those decisions, this is not a fun topic to talk about, but having to step away from people that have that negative draw, that have been bit, who kind of have that, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? You can't always pull everyone out. You can't always save everyone. So you have to pick your poison. You have to step away and not lose yourself trying to save somebody else, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, you hit the nail on the head there. You know, that works in so many different ways. You are who you hang out with, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
yes.
It's kind of that same thing. You know, you want to be positive. You You got to put yourself in a situation with positive people or around positive things, positive events, things that can take your mind in that positive direction. Kind of one thing I like to do also sometimes is, I said unplug earlier, like things are going crazy. Sometimes I like to get up in the morning and I'll sit there with a cup of coffee or something, read a book, and I won't turn anything on. I won't check my phone. I won't check the emails. I just take a moment. It's almost like my way of meditation, I guess. And you just let the mind clear, and I just focus on whatever I'm reading, whatever. And then I get done with that, and then I'll start focusing on what I want to attack. And then I'll start just one at a time, start attacking things. And that'll be my approach too, to go get my mind going in a positive direction right off the bat and start attacking the day. So, I mean, there's a lot of different techniques and ways you can do things, when you want to approach that. But
Absolutely. No, I think that's very well said. I think having a routine is one of the most positive things in my day to start it out. It can also play that other side that if I get thrown out of my routine, it throws me out of whack. And it takes a lot more energy and effort for me to maintain that positivity. And that's something I feel like you got to be aware of if you're going to be a kind of person that has a routine and a structure. Is there's going to be, you mentioned it earlier, there's a million things life throws at you. It's somebody explained it a while back that every day life is going to try to kick your ass in some way. And you've got to be prepared for it. You've got to fight the battle, and you've got to move past it, and you've got to maintain the positivity through that. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head there too with it. It's going to come your way.
Well, and that's, you look back at the things you've done that's helped you learn, and like even looking at 75 hard, I'm not telling anybody they got to go do 75 hard, but it puts those good habits in place so that your routine is structured. Your routine. And so if your routine is structured and you have that baseline running for you every day, even if there's a hiccup in it, it's not going to throw you totally out of whack. It's not, and then if the day just gets crazy Monday morning at work or whatever, it's not going to throw it all out of whack because you stuck to your base routine, and you can depend on that being structured every day. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it and approach it, but that's one way. One thing I try to do is start out there and then move on. So
absolutely. And with a routine or with 75 hard, a couple of things that I pulled out of that as well is one, whenever you stick to a routine and you've got your plan, you realize that you have much more time in the day than you ever did before, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Organized and effective, right? So that's one of them. But two, also, if you set that list, you set a routine for yourself that you have to get done, just like 75 hard, you realize that the things that are important to you are going to take precedence. You're going to start pushing a lot of those negative things and a lot of those, whatever it is, a lot of subjects, topics, a lot of indulgements or whatever you're indulging in. You start to push those out of your life. You start to only seek out the positive, only seek out the things that serve you and move you in a positive direction. And I think that's really important too. So yes, definitely, if you can get in a routine, and I am a huge advocate for 75 hard as well. I think that it's not for everybody, but I think it's something that can teach you those valuable lessons just like it's taught you and me.
Well, I think it helps you push away those negative energy vampires like you're talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not so sold on the ice bath yet. I don't know. You're big time into the ice bath, but that may take me a little longer.
So actually, yeah, I mean, we could talk about that too. Because I plan on doing some of those out there whenever we do this trip as well. But the cold plunge is something I've started doing, and it's right there in the middle of that. It's part of my routine every day. I have a chest freezer that I have set up to be a cold plunge. I unplug it before I hop in. That's the disclaimer for sure. Don't get in there and get yourself shocked. But I dive in that thing. It's about 40 degrees. Get in it every single day, and I start my day off with a hard workout, then 3 minutes of mental stress. It is strain. It is adrenaline pumping through my veins for those 3 minutes cold in the freezer. It has ice on it, covering it. Some days I have to tap out and move around so I can get inside of it. It's tough, but what it does is it increases the chemicals in your brain that make you have a positive outlook on life, and it also tells you that you can do hard things. If I can get in the ice bath, if I can jump into 40-degree water for no reason in the morning and stay in there for 3 minutes and get out on my terms, I can attack anything within my day.
It's almost like an instant cup of coffee.
It
like
absolutely
charges you right away. Like, whoa, I am going to commit to you that I'm going to do that. I'm going to build me one myself, and I'm going to start doing it.
There we go.
I see the benefit coming from you already. I'm going to get in. I've had a few of them, but I haven't done it on a daily routine. But I think that's in the future here.
Well, what's next in line for Billy Pitts? Sounds like we're building a cold plunge, so
There
get
you
excited
go.
about that. Maybe we can get the Westphalia Fitness Center team to take a dive in there.
We'll have to video that.
Yeah, no kidding. But see, we've hit against it several times, so I think we ought to just dive into it as well. Shifting gears just a little bit, we have a way that we plan to get back into a good mindset, to get some of the positivity flowing back in, to remove ourselves from some of the energy vampires that have grabbed onto our lives, whether it's our careers just being very, very busy. It's been a weird year for business all over.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it's been our intense training sessions, whether it's been dealing with stuff within our personal lives. I think both of us have talked several times, and we've got some things that we want to take a step away from and think about on a larger scale and come back with a plan on how to conquer them, right?
Right.
So what we're going to do, spur of the moment, as long as my PTO gets approved in the coming week, we've decided that we're going to go the week of Thanksgiving. I believe that's the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, up to Colorado. Dad's got a gig Sunday night, so I will be driving up Sunday. He's going to fly up on Monday. I'll pick him up in Denver Monday morning, and we're going to go out to the mountains. Last spur of the moment kind of thing, but that's how we do everything.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go to probably start out in Kremling, Colorado. It's up there. It's a mountain town, smaller area, but what it does have is it has the Radium Hot Springs. It's got a bunch of trails that you can get to as well. It's right on the Colorado River, and we're just going to go and we're going to do some things that we love to do, and we're going to unplug for a little bit.
We might need to think about some cold gear.
Definitely think about some cold gear. I'm driving so that I can pack everything that we need in the truck. I'll be taking the griddle. I'll be taking backpacks, tents, all of our supplies, clothes, food, water, all that good stuff in the Tacoma. And we'll be shuttling up there. I think it's about a 14 to 15 hour drive to get up most of the way there, where I'll meet up with you, and then we will jet out to the mountains. So I'm really looking forward to the experience.
No, I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
You know, if you've listened to this podcast or kept up with us at all, what we're doing, Dad and my passion, one big one is trail running. So there's so many great trails out in Colorado, and you always hear about all the great ultra runners. That's what they do. They either move there or they go there to train.
For sure. Yep.
So I'm super excited to go out there and do that. Maybe get some fishing in, also get some recovery in the hot springs, and just kind of click the reset button for a little bit, right?
For sure. I think I'm looking forward to it. It's needed. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And I think it gets you even more fired up and excited whenever it is one of these situations where it's spur of the moment. We just figured this out, right?
That's kind of how we roll.
Yeah. The Spartan race up in New York is a good example of that.
Yeah, sure is. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of great trails there. A good altitude to train in, so that's going to be another challenge, but that's why a lot of your ultra runners, live in that area or train in that area for sure.
Absolutely. I imagine it'll be pretty good combination of hiking and trail running.
Probably so. Yeah.
Maybe getting a big trail run in at the end of it. See if we can't stretch it out a little bit and do something cool.
That'll be fun.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to spend a day and a half, maybe 2 days, depending on how everything shakes out, in Kremling up there. Just having a good time, like I said, relaxing, pushing the reset button. And we're also going to, I know it's huge on your bucket list, and mine as well, to go up to Leadville. Leadville's about an hour 15 south of that. So I think we've both decided that we're going to roll over to Leadville after that and do some trail running there as well.
Just check it out. Yeah. Maybe someday actually run the race. Who knows? Yeah,
the Leadville 100 is a legendary race. If you haven't seen anything on it, Nick Bear's got a great documentary about it that he did with his team, the Bear Performance
for sure
team. There's also several others that just did a fantastic job documenting what they've done up there. And it's a legendary race that everyone in the ultra running community strives to get to. And I agree with you. I'd love to go up there and possibly do that race someday. But it's going to be cool just to be an outsider looking in and getting to run some of those trails and seeing what it's all about up there, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm excited to see it. Just the country's going to be so beautiful.
It really is. And I'm really amped to see it. I know one of our heroes up there that goes up there and trains a whole lot, Courtney DeWalter. If you don't know who she is, she's probably the best female ultra runner out there right now, and she's probably the best 200 plus mile ultra runner out there right now as well. Absolute beast.
She lives in that area, so.
Yep, she goes up there and she trains, and she gets out on the trails and on the mountains on a regular basis. So it'll be really cool to see how the other side lives. We're down here in the flatlands and the pretty much warmth and everything, so it'll be an extreme change for us.
It'll be cool. It'll be cool. I'm excited for the experience.
Absolutely. But that's how we're planning on hitting the reset button, how we're planning on diving into it. Along with that, we got the holidays coming up. Super excited about the holidays and getting into all those different things we're going to get into.
We'll get back just in time for, what is it, the Rumble you guys are going to have?
That's right. If you haven't heard, if you haven't listened to the podcast we dropped with Michael Ruiz, we've got I think it's the Miguel Brothers Turkey Bash 2.
I think that, yeah.
It's MBTB2. We're going to have a throwdown annual wrestling match between my cousin Michael and myself. We were born 10 days apart, and we've been super close ever since we were born. Also pretty competitive now that we're both in shape. So it's going to be cool to see. We'll talk about sphere of influence. He's one of the guys that came out of nowheres and decided he's running a marathon in January. I think the second weekend of January.
Something like that in Houston.
Yeah, in Houston.
Yeah.
So huge shout out to him. It's just, and just I guess to bring it on back to that, it's so cool to see all of those people going out. And I would offer this between you being the owner and coach at the Westphalia Fitness Center, but also me wanting to genuinely help people. If you've got something you want to do to take on, that is a big challenge in your life. Even if it's, everybody's challenges are different, right?
For sure,
If you're looking to take on a 5K, if you're looking to take on a half marathon, ultra race, whatever it is, I know we've got some great people around us that have shown interest in that. And even if it's something not even in the running sphere, if it's something totally different, if there's something we can do to help you, please reach out.
Yeah, I was going to say it doesn't have to be in a running or workout kind of sphere. I've talked to many people, and then after the last podcast I was on with you, I had several phone calls, several emails from people reaching out. It was some people I didn't even know, and some people that I'd run across in my past, and we were acquaintances through work or whatever. They reached out for some ideas and some help on some of them to get into working out, physical fitness, and some just on being positive in life, and how to handle maybe a situation that they're dealing with and stuff like that. So it's so awesome to get to talk to people and to get to help them get through some things like that. Thank you for having me on last time, because immediately I saw several people reaching out like that, and it was just it's fantastic to see that, and to know there are a lot of people that are just like you out there. They're afraid to say anything a lot of times, or to say anything, or reach out, or I don't want to post anything. I don't want to put a message on here. Somebody else will read it. Things like that. But there's so many people like that, and they just need that little help. And so it's great to have people reaching out and pushing themselves in that direction. So I feel honored that I was like, who am I to be? But I just felt honored that people were reaching out. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it really is an awesome thing. And I know you said thank you, but I'll say it right back. Thank you for coming on here and being a positive person every time you're on the show. People reach out to you because you're an open person who has just the world to offer somebody if they want it. You know what I mean? You won't stop at any length to go out there, and you'll go to any length, I should say, to go out there and help people, right? And that's really cool to see, because we've had some phenomenal people, family, friends, strangers reach out, and it's been really cool to see that. So I thank you for being willing to always come on here and to help me out as well, because you've been a huge positive influence in my life as well.
Well, so I think now we're at that point where we're influencing each other quite a bit, pushing each other in a good direction and leaning on each other when we need to. And I think it's pretty outstanding to see, and just all the people that are coming out and you don't even know how many people are thinking about those kind of things or wanting to do positive things and all that until you start talking about it. And then they'll catch you off to the side and they'll say, hey, kind of like last night when you had people say, hey, that's that guy with that podcast.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing. I run into people all the time and they're talking about, positive things and things that I do in my routine. And we're talking about things that they want to do and stuff like that. So it's you never know how many people you're going to reach by doing that kind of stuff. So it's cool.
Absolutely. And something just crossed my mind too. We're talking about going up to Colorado and we're going to be completely out of our element, out of our comfort zone, but we're going to be doing something we love, and which is challenging ourselves to do something out of our comfort zone.
Right.
And that's kind of been the whole essence of our fitness journey and our lives that we've taken on. That's why we run these ultra races. That's why we've reached out to so many people and worked with so many people. And that would be a challenge that I'd be willing to issue to anybody listening to this podcast, is find something that accelerates you and pushes you forward. Find something that moves you towards or in the direction that you want to go, right? And actively take the first step to achieve it. We've got this huge trip that we're going on over the Thanksgiving break that we're going to go do. We've taken on these races, like I've mentioned, and it all had to start somewhere. We took our first steps with our 5Ks. We took our first full week of working out. We took our first challenge with 75 hard, and all these steps that we climbed higher and higher with every time we started to develop ourselves. So that is my challenge to y'all right now. And you've got us, like we just talked about, as a resource, my dad and myself. I'll tag him on all the social media so you can find him really easy. But that is the challenge. Go out and do something that excites you, something that moves you in the right direction, something that will bring positivity into your life in a way that can be infectious to others, can cause you to have a sphere of influence for others, just like we've been fortunate enough to have in our lives. So please, please, please go out there and do that. Go out there and make a difference, guys. I am forever thankful that y'all sit here and listen to us babble back and forth, and to be somebody that gets to have the opportunity to talk to people. So that's what we have going on. In a review as well, what we have next in line for Mr. Billy Pitts here. He's got his 100-mile race coming up in February. Very excited about that. We've got his cold plunge that he has pledged that he is going to get into place, so we'll help you get that all edged out as well. And just going to make the most of this trip coming up and see what we can do to try to help people move in the right direction.
Man, this is going to be a lot of fun. It's looking forward to these trips and the conversations we're going to have. They're going to be epic, I know. So I'm stoked about that. But yeah, like you said, just start out with something you want to do. Challenge yourself. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be extreme. Start off with small steps and then build upon that. That's how it all gets started. That's how I started running. That's how I started lifting weights. Just few baby steps at a time. Get a few wins under your belt and just keep on moving in a positive direction. And whether you know it or not, people are watching you make those positive moves. They could be your family, could be your spouse, could be your son or daughter, whatever it may be. They're seeing those things, and they learn what people learn most effectively by example. And that, be a good example for people, and those things will take off for you, and it'll help you grow. It'll influence yourself.
Absolutely. And don't let yourself be intimidated by that goal, whatever it is, big, small. Don't let it be intimidating, because we all started somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But guys, that's really all I got. You got anything else today, Pops?
I think that's about it. Just reach out. Let us know if we can help in any way. We appreciate it. And thanks for tuning in and watching us and all that kind of stuff. And let us know what's next in line for you.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And you can send us a message. You can comment on the posts that we have on social media. You can send us a message. That's at Next in Line Development on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and even YouTube. Always glad to interact with y'all there. But guys, make sure you're moving yourself forward. Make sure you're setting those goals, and always be prepared for whatever is next in line.